Hi everyone, I'm Camelia, product designer from Gitlab. This video is one of our UX scorecard study at Gitlab. The purpose of UX scorecard study is to identify the problems and to track the effort of addressing usability concerns within a specific workflow. Today, we are focusing on the secure area of Gitlab. The persona for this UX scorecard could be security specialist, developer, or DevOps who take up the security part of the product. The feature I will show today is about security gates. The security gate is the terminology we use to describe a situation when there is a merge request in certain project before it gets merged. Certain security tests will be running, and when there is a high severity vulnerability found, as a user, I could get some gatekeepers, some approvers to let them to double check the security scan result and then approve the merge request. So if there's something wrong there, the code won't go to production. So let's make a use case here. Let's say I'm a user that I heard this feature from a colleague. I think it's very useful and I want to use it. So now I'm going to set it up. And this is my project. And I think I'm going to try to find it out in the security area. I think that's the main area where I used to work a lot. So I always go to my security dashboard to check about vulnerabilities and maybe somewhere that I can find out there is a setting that's the vulnerability list. Okay, since it's about approval and merge request, I could also find it in merge request so I can enable it. Maybe there is something that I can enable. Let's try with the pipeline here. So maybe this is in settings. So let's try settings. So I know GitLab, there are a lot of features there. Each of them has their dedicated settings. I don't see security here, so I will go with general. Okay, I see the keyword merge request approval. I think that could be the one. Let us give it a try. So here is already something. I think what I need to do is add a new one. Okay, name approval, request approval. I would assume that I can randomly give a name. Since it's already tell me a hint, I can just try with security gates. And the number of approval, let's put 1 here. So now I'm expected I can set up the rules as if the high vulnerability, high severity vulnerabilities that it needs to be approved by this user, but I didn't find it anywhere. Maybe it's next step. Let's try to add it first. So I don't see anything. So this is okay. This is a new one. And this is the same screen and delete. Okay, I'm not sure this is what I need to do. And let's try to find another setting area. Maybe it's in some other places, integration. Not really. It is with members, so I can add special rules to certain members. With this member, doesn't seem like here I can do anything. Okay, let's go back to the thing we're working on. So as a user, I probably will just give up at this point. I don't know if it's working or not, and I will look for some help. So as a person who work on the security area, I know this is not the feature what user are looking for. This won't work. This just work as a general rules. And if there is a merge request, no matter which severity of the vulnerability, no matter there is a security sign, and this person will need to go there and approve it. And if user set it up, could be quite annoying for the user if there's a large amount of merge requests. So for this job to be done, it will be a failed one. And the suggestion here is when you add new rules, like since we have like some predefined security rules and don't put security here, it might be a little bit confusing. And also add some discoverability in the security area or like here to give some hints about some predefined like rules. And also when user type the correct name, so we can show up exactly the rules here for this predefined approval settings, like when there is high, medium, and no severity vulnerability found, it will need the approvers, otherwise it will automatically merge. Something like that to make it more clear for the user. So this is a scenario when user doesn't get any help from some other people try to solve. So it definitely won't work. And when they try another scenario, that when user heard about the feature and she or he also got documentation from the colleague how to set it up, let's see if there is a documentation, user follow it, will it work? So this is the documentation the user got, and he reads through it. So, okay, this seems like this is the feature user wants and how to enable it. And after read it, and it doesn't really tell user where to set it up. So the user probably need to check on this link and spend some time to read through all of those general settings about approvals. So it's a quite long one. I would assume it take at least 10 minutes or more. And to understand it, and then user know, okay, the security one is similar to this, a little bit different. And the user need to go to the setting area to set it up. Let's assume here that user already read everything. And now user goes back to the setting page. And here, user add new rules, and user reads about it is vulnerability check. Let's type it. So this one says case sensitive, so I need to put the capital C there, but if I put a small c, there is no hint. So suggestion here could be, here we have a drop down to tell user that, okay, I know that you're looking for this specific rules predefined by our system, not a general one, and here is exactly what you should use, and user can select it to prevent misspelling or like didn't pay attention to the case sensitive. Let's choose the same user as before. So it also says approval requires counter bigger than 0. So okay, I put 1 here. And I edit. So the question mark is a good hint if user has other rules. So it kind of gave the different, okay, this is different. You should look at it. And after the user look at it, it seems like what user looking for the vulnerability of a high critical and no severity. Okay. And this is the same document. So now the user's question could be, is this enabled? Do I need to do something else? This already working with next merge request? It doesn't really tell. So the another thing user could think of is, if it's turned, as this is not enabled, not turned on, is off, there should be a button to turn it on, or there is a way for me to turn it off. So how can I disable these rules? So there's no way I can disable here. I can probably delete the people there, but I can still, then I cannot save it anymore. and I probably can delete it here, but then the rules will be completely removed. It won't work, but at the user, I probably want to just temporarily disable it, and it's very difficult for me to find it out. So the suggestion here is like when user first set it up, we give them a notification to tell them that, okay, hey, this is already enabled, and you can already use it to double confirm to make them comfortable that they did something correct. Or we have like a button here says turn on, turn off, then it's more clear for user to like disable it, enable it. That could be some small suggestion. And as internal people, I know that user can change this to 0, update the rules, so it's disabled. But according to the documentation, it says need to be greater than 0. So I would doubt that user want to change this number to 0. And also, this is not really logical to say that when the number of approval is 0, that this means it's paused. So it's probably an error. So user might kind of want to see an error message here when they say updates the rules. Okay, is something wrong? Or when they click on update, we show them a notification, tell them that is paused. A similar thing when I have like 2 here. So I only have 1 approval, and number of approvals required is 2, and I can update the rules. So that means like my merge request will never be merged because I only have 1 approval, and I will never reach the approval required 2. So maybe this is the error that user need to fix. So there are a lot of things we could do to improve it. And another thing is user might check those kind of additional rules below. It says can override approvers and approvals required per merge request. Override by what? And user need to come here and read through it. Okay, this is long documentation. Again, I would assume this take like 5 to 10 minutes to understand everything. And for each of them, after you read everything, it's already take quite a long time. So after user read it, they will understand the overriding is between the rule set up between the group level and the project level. So the suggestion here could be when we check and uncheck the check mark, and we directly show on the UI here says, okay, you have a rules from a group level which we will override this one, and this won't work, and what will work, and give user clear indication what will happen. So overall, as a summary, I think the experience of set up the security gatekeeper approvals is very difficult. First, the discoverability is very low as a user. If I don't get the documentation, it's almost impossible to find it from the current UI. And another thing is, even I have a documentation, is not very easy to follow. There are lots of like kind of a confusing part for user to understand the feature. And also, for those settings as a user, I will expect it to take maybe 5 to 10 minutes to set it up. And with all the documentation and everything, and it can take maybe user 20, 30 minutes to set it up. So this is definitely experience we need to improve, and we need to improve very fast if we want user to use them. So the overall feeling that's the score I give is negative. So this is not what user expected. They will feel frustrated, confused, and annoyed. And the grading rubric score will be D. So the flow is not clear. It definitely have issues. We definitely need to improve it. For the user, the frustration level is high. The compilation could be unlucky. So there is another issue that we're working on, try to make it better. And the issue is to improve the general setting here. So by default, we'll have a vulnerability check, and we'll have the lessons check here. And since it's by default, user won't have the ability to delete it, and the user can already check the question mark to learn about it. So that's a good step forward that user can already discover it when they go to settings. It's the MVC feature is already a good step forward, but still we can improve it later on. For example, the disable enable status, when this is by default there, when user cannot delete it, how we can let user disable it. Change it to 0 doesn't seem very straightforward, and the relationship between those rules and the rules above is not clear. So when they have more, are those applied to all of them? Can I apply some of them to some of the rules, or like make it more selective? And should we put it in general? Should we put it in the security tab for the user? So all those questions still need to be answered. And I hope we can work on this feature soon and provide our user a happy experience. Thank you.